Good morning, good day, good evening, Facebook and YouTube. It's Eden here. I'm sorry my camera is so blurry. I'm having difficulty connecting my external camera, but thankfully I won't be on the screen long because we're going to formulate and I'm going to share my screen soon. But before I do that, I just want to say welcome to day 4 of our Hair Care Unlocked formulation series. Today we are going to be formulating a rinse out conditioner, and we're going to be continuing forward with the same theme in our line. We're going to use our Amla and Hibiscus extracts from day 1, and we are going to use that to formulate a rinse out conditioner. Now, just to recap, those of you that have been following along, please bear with me for just 3 seconds while I catch up new people. Good morning, Angela. Good morning, Crystal. When you wash your hair, you impart a negative charge onto your hair, right? And this ruffles the cuticle. So the cuticle isn't lying flat, it's kind of curling up, right? From the root to the tip. So when you use a conditioner, you impart a positive charge back onto the hair, just neutralizing that charge, and you also seal the cuticle, so the cuticle lays back down. So that's how you get that polished, nice look. So a conditioner really is just oil, water, and an emulsifier, right? So it's a lotion. So it's a lotion for your hair. But what distinguishes a conditioner from just a regular skincare lotion, you know, if we're just looking at basic lotions, is that the conditioner is going to have conditioning agents. It's going to have those quats. It's going to have those quaternary compounds, those cationic, compounds and ingredients that impart that positive charge that we're wanting. And those same things that, impart that positive charge also give the hair slip, and help the hair kind of have that conditioned feel to it. We also want to add fatty alcohols, which are different from drying alcohols, like the rubbing alcohol or like the alcohol we find in hand sanitizers, right? This is going to be a fatty alcohol that's usually derived from things like coconut oil or palm oil. Hey, Claire. And these things are going to kind of give a cushioned, squishy feel to the hair. They also thicken the product, okay? And in terms of emulsifiers, we're going to choose an emulsifier that not just binds the oil and the water together so that it doesn't separate. We're going to choose an emulsifier that's conditioning, right? So that means that it's going to be multitasking. It's not just, binding things together. We want our ingredients to do more work. We're also going to enhance that conditioner with humectants. Humectants draw water to the hair. And so if you're dealing with natural hair especially, you want to draw moisture to the hair. So humectants are going to do that. And if you like, you can add protein too, just to give a little strength to the hair. All hair products usually at like 1 or 2% protein are beneficial to everyone. It's the people who are protein sensitive start to have problems once it starts going above that level and it goes into the protein treatment area. Then people will start to say my hair reacts to protein. It's not so much that the hair reacts to protein, it was just too much protein for their hair, or maybe there wasn't a good balance of humectants and protein, right? So, just kind of understanding that helps. Good morning, Tony. And so this is what we're going to be looking at today when we formulate. So as usual, I haven't prepared anything. I'm just going to go from scratch and make it up from the top of my head because I want to show you how easy this actually is to do yourself. If you just kind of slow and steady and you just kind of understand the basic principles of what you're going for, okay? So without much further ado, I am going to share my screen. I haven't heard anyone say they can't hear me. So I'm assuming that you can hear me clearly. And when I start sharing my screen, I would love it if you would confirm that you can actually see my screen. All right, so we're going to share my screen, and I've toggled it on, so you should see me on the side and then like a funny screen with a million me's and screens on the right. And so I'm going to go over to this document, wait a few seconds, and then I'm going to go back and double check to see if you guys can see me. All right, awesome. Crystal says that she can hear me, and Tony says that she can see it. So awesome, thank you so much. All right, so Amla Hibiscus Rinse Out Conditioner. So I'm going to go line by line, and we're going to start with a formula in ounces for our US friends, and then after that we'll do the formula in grams, and then we'll go through the directions of how to put everything together. So formula in ounces. So I'm going to put here behentrimonium methosulfate. In fact, okay, let me finish sulfate with cetyl alcohol. All right, so this is what we want is Btms 25. Okay, so the reason why I'm choosing this, Btms 25 is an emulsifier, but it is also a conditioning emulsifier, and there are many different kinds of Btms. There's Btms 25, there's Btms 50, and there are other kind of Btms's that usually aren't available at the crafter level, though I have had, recently I had someone in my group say that, you know, she found Btms, I think it was 80 that she found, but I haven't really seen that at the crafter level, at least in the US, but who's to say that it won't become available. But at the crafter level, in manufacturing, you can buy behentrimonium methosulfate by itself. But at the crafter level, it's always going to come mixed with something, which is fine. And Btms 25 specifically is behentrimonium methosulfate with cetyl alcohol. Okay, so behentrimonium methosulfate is a natural emulsifier. It's derived from a rapeseed oil. Okay, so it has a long scary name, but it's really not scary. It's just kind of like a wax that they've created derived from this oil. Just like soap is a natural substance, but you derive it by mixing water and oil and then using lye as a catalyst to create a reaction that ends up as soap. So the lye gets used up in the process. It's not present in the final soap that we use. But, you know, because soap doesn't sound scary, people don't think of it as a chemical process, but it is a chemical process to make soap. All right, so Btms is kind of similar. You don't use lye to make it, but it's a wax derived from rapeseed oil, and it also emulsifies and it conditions the hair beautifully. So Btms 25 is going to be 25% Btms and 75% alcohol. Btms 50, on the other hand, is 50% behentrimonium methosulfate with 50% butylene glycol. Now, why I prefer that people use Btms 25 is because cetyl alcohol is a fatty alcohol, like I mentioned earlier, that's derived usually from coconut oil, sometimes from palm oils. It's really natural. It makes the hair feel squishy and soft. You know, it'll thicken the product a little bit. It'll give some slip. Whereas butylene glycol is derived from petroleum products. There's Some people are sort of divided about whether it's toxic or not. I would say 50% of people feel like it's toxic and 50% of people feel like it's safe. It's really widespread in a lot of beauty products. Yeah, so I kind of pause when I see butylene glycol in a product, and I usually tend not to get it. Occasionally I'll get something that has that in it, but you know, so I think BTMS 25 is just safer. Consumers are more conscious now, so it's probably going to be a greener product if you care about that in terms of perception. It's definitely a greener product if you care about just keeping things green and keeping the earth as green as possible and just your life as green as possible. So that's why I choose BTMS 25. Now, in a rinse-out conditioner, a rinse-out conditioner usually is not as thick as, say, a deep conditioner. So it's usually going to start at around 6%. So 6 to 7% is a good range. I'm going to go with 6%. Because the more you put in of this, the thicker your product is probably going to be, right? So you kind of want to bear that in mind too. A lot of people are wanting rinse-out conditioners that they can pour out of a bottle. 6% is going to be sort of super creamy, but you're kind of going more towards the pourable out of a bottle place. So 5 to 6%. Because natural hair loves more conditioning, I'm going to go with 6 as opposed to something like 5%, because I feel like that would be a little bit light for a rinse-out conditioner. I'm not talking a leave-in here, it's a rinse-out conditioner for natural hair. All right, so we've done that. And then the next thing I'm going to put here is, ordinarily I choose behentrimonium. I love behentrimonium chloride simply because it's really softens the hair. It doesn't feel sticky in the hair. It doesn't build up in the hair. However, because this is a product that is designed specifically to be rinsed out, I'm not going to worry too much about the stickiness of it if I think that something would be good. So on the spur of the moment, I think I've decided to add something like polyquaternium. Um, 10, and I'm gonna add that at, I would say 1%, I would say 2%. Let's go with 2%. Okay, and then we could add a little bit of cetyl alcohol. Again, I want this to be pourable, so I'm not going to add 2%, which I feel like would thicken it too much. So I'm going to start with 1% and see what that does. So cetyl alcohol is similar to cetyl alcohol. So I could only spell alcohol. All right, there we go. So let's do 1% of that. Okay, oops, percent. And then we're going to add some oils and butters. Now, when I look at a formula, generally I start with, there is such a thing called HLB, which allows you to figure out, you know, how much oil and emulsifier you need for your formula and so forth. But it's a little bit complex, and honestly, I don't think it's necessary for most at-home formulators. I think that that's kind of more going into the cosmetic chemistry area, which is fine, but most people are kind of not really feeling that available for that, so we'll leave that alone. But a general rule I would say is you look at your emulsifier and then double it. So in this case, it's 6%. So for me, that tells me that I can for sure get away with 12% oil in here without anything separating, because I have cetyl alcohol. Cetyl alcohol does not emulsify by itself, but it is a co-emulsifier, which means it takes on these sort of emulsifying qualities when it's mixed together with a proper emulsifier, right? So I'm like, okay, I have cetyl alcohol, I have the Btms 25, so that tells me I could probably get away with an extra 2 to 3% if I really wanted to. So I'm going to aim for about 12 to 14% oils and butters, because we know that naturally curly hair likes really rich products. If you were making this for permed hair or for really fine hair, you wouldn't use that much oil. Okay, so let's do something that everybody can find. Should we do shea butter, mango butter? Let's do shea butter. I usually like 5% butters. 2%. I think more than that feels like too much to me. So we'll do shea butter, mango butter. So I'm sticking to basic butters here that I feel like everyone can find. I'm not going to go into the exotic butters like the murumus and so forth. So shea butter, mango butter. Let's do some, I know a lot of you love coconut oil. I'm kind of so-so about coconut oil. But I would say, let's do some, so we'll just say coconut oil. I would say preferably fractionated. So fractionated coconut oil stays liquid regardless of the temperature. You know, virgin coconut oil and, you know, pure coconut oil, it solidifies at room temperature in the wintertime, right? And then it's liquid in the summer, so it's kind of dependent on temperature. Whereas fractionated coconut oil, they've removed a portion of the coconut oil that creates that situation. I don't want to call it an issue, it's not an issue, but in hair care, it can be an issue because then people have a different experience of the product in the wintertime than they do in the summertime, because the coconut oil can harden in the hair when you go outside and it's like Minnesota temperature, right? So I kind of try to stay mindful of that. So if you must use coconut oil, that's what I prefer. I do think that the virgin coconut oil obviously is going to be more nutritious for the hair and scalp and all of that. But there's that issue. And then there's also the fact that coconut oil doesn't work well in all temperatures. I feel like coconut oil is sort of 50-50 when it comes to working in dry temperatures. I've spoken to so many people who live out in the Southwest where I do, in the desert, and a lot of them are transplants from other parts of the country. And when they were on the coast, when I was in California, people who've lived in other places, they said coconut oil worked great for them there, and they came to the desert and it stopped working for them. So I think that there's just something about coconut oil that can be finicky, even though it is a great oil. So I prefer not to formulate with it. But because this is a rinse out product and people are probably washing their hair with hot water in the shower, it's probably not a big deal, right? So let's just say 3%. It's also very inexpensive, so we like that part too. Let's do our Amla Hibiscus infused oil. Remember, we made our oil extract as well on day one, so let's do about 3% of that. Let's do avocado oil at, oh wait, so so that's 5, 6, 11. Okay, so let's just do avocado oil at 3%. Okay, that's 5% plus 9 is 14. Okay, that's plenty of oil. We'll call it a day at that. All right, so now let's look at our water portion. So for water portion, let's do Amla hibiscus extract for sure. Amla and hibiscus extract. And that's going to be what you made either in water or aloe. And you preserved that. We'll calculate the percentage of that last. I definitely want a humectant in there. So I would say let's add something like 1,3 propane diol, which I love. I mean, I add that to everything, but you don't have to do that. You can do glycerin. If you do glycerin, don't do it at 10%, okay? I'm about to put 10% in here. Glycerin, you should go 2 to 5%, and 5% is kind of on the higher end. So propane diol, you could do honey, you could do molasses, you could do agave, you could do Yukon syrup, but any of those sort of really sweet, like sugar is a humectant. So any of those sort of really sweet, syrupy things are gonna, you know, create sort of a draw of moisture to the hair. All right, so that's what I would do with this. And then I would say let's do some natural fragrance and essential oil. So let's do bamboo extract. I love bamboo extract. And if we do that at 10% as well, it'll make an amazing slippery moist conditioner. And then let's do a natural fragrance or EO blend. Hopefully you'll understand that it's just essential oil blend. But if you're looking at it later and you're like, what the heck is EO blend? Let's do 1%. Now, obviously, you can go up to 2%. Sometimes you can also blend. One of the things I teach my clients to do sometimes is to blend a natural fragrance with essential oils, like when you're using essential oils that are really pungent. And I have a whole free masterclass that'll stay up forever on YouTube on natural fragrancing. This is very different from synthetic fragrances, okay? And it's also different from essential oils, okay? Not essential oils aren't the only natural fragrance known to man. There are other forms of natural fragrance. I speak about that in that class. So anything that's in that class would qualify as natural fragrance and still keeps your product green and eco and safe for humans, because synthetic fragrances, guys, are really just not safe. Like, I just won't even allow them in my house as much as I can. All right, so preservative. Let's do a preservative. So you can do conolactone with sodium benzoate or Optofen Plus, and we can do that at 1%. That'll be plenty, especially because we have propane diol in there, and that allows preservatives to work better. It almost has like a self-preserving quality to it. All right, so if you really wanted to get fancy too, I also told you about, you can make an extract in propane diol. So if you did make an Amla hibiscus extract, or I don't know, whatever you're using, you know, rosemary and sage, or like, I don't know, lavender and chamomile, whatever combo that you used on day one, you can also make an extract of that. So if you wanted to substitute your 1,3 propane diol extract in here, instead of just using propane diol on its own, you could do that too. All right, but we've already got the Amla hibiscus in the oil, and even this is an extra touch that you don't have to have. You can always skip this Amla hibiscus infused oil and just save it for your hair oil, which we're going to make on day something. 6 maybe. But yeah, you know, but it's only 3%, which isn't much. All right, so we've got all that. We've got the polyquaternium. I kind of don't want to put that way at the bottom. So let's go ahead and put it up here. You know what? I'm just gonna stick to gluconolactone with sodium benzoate. I'm just gonna stick to Optifen Plus here, because gluconolactone with sodium benzoate is a powder, which means it would go in the water phase. But Optifen Plus is a liquid, which you would add at the end of your whole process. And I think it'll just make it too confusing. Excuse me, guys. I get thirsty when I talk. It would make it too confusing for those of you that watch this on the replay, or I know how people are. They'll be like, I don't want to watch the whole thing. I just want to look at the document. For those of you that get the hair bundle, if you're just looking at the document, you won't know that. So I'm just gonna stick to this because that's gonna be easier to type. And then before I calculate the percentages, I'm just gonna hop back to the chat just to see if there's any questions, or if you guys are okay, or if I'm just talking to myself, just trying to see what's happening here. All right, so do you have, okay, oh, there's quite a few questions. Okay, let me get the questions. Mary is confirming that she can see and hear me. That's awesome. Maybe I'll stop sharing my screen while I'm reading the questions so it doesn't look so strange for you guys. All right, so Crystal Davis, do you have a formula for a hair mask? Yes, I do. A hair mask is essentially like a deep conditioner, right? And so the deep conditioner class kind of covers that. If you're looking for a hair mask that isn't like a traditional conditioner, it just depends on what you're looking for. You can ask a question here live, like specifically, like what kind of mask you're trying to make. People make different kinds of hair masks, and people make hair masks that are meant to be like a deep conditioner. Some people make hair masks that are meant to be sort of like a protein treatment or a hydration treatment. It just depends on what kind of hair mask you want to make. But a deep conditioner kind of covers that, and I would just use the deep conditioner masterclass. It's part of the Haircare bundle. The Haircare bundle is $99, but most of the classes in the Haircare bundle are $19 each, and you can always buy those a la carte. I really need to work on my shop page, but I have so much client work this week, I can't even look at it. But if you email me, eden@prosperinbeauty.com, I can send you the link to the deep conditioning class, and I can send you yeah, a link to any class you want. I might put it in the chat if I have time to. All right, add exotic butters. I love them. Hi, Tony. Yeah, you can just substitute any of the butters that I put in that formula for an exotic butter. It just works interchangeably. Because I have people from all over the world in this live stream and on my channel, really, like maybe people in West Africa might not be able to find muru butter, right? In South Africa, maybe they could, but even in South Africa, I don't think I've seen it there. So I just kind of want to do examples of things that people can find anywhere they are. Where can you get the formulas? Yeah, so you can get them via the Haircare bundle. This video will be up on YouTube and Facebook until about mid-December, right? Then I'll take it down. So you have time to go back and look at the thing. If you get the hair bundle, then of course I'd give you the PDF of this formula that we're making right now. Mary can see my screen and can hear me. Thank you so much for letting me know. Femi L says, wow. Will we be able to see the full recipe? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to make it with you on the thing, so you can always go back and watch and just write it down, you know, for free. I can see your screen and I can hear you. Where can I get the formulas? Okay, I'll put the hair bundle in the chat momentarily. Patricia, would you ever put a resin like benzoin in this rinse out formula, or is that best saved for a deep conditioning mask? You can put that in here if you want, if you feel like it's going to be beneficial. I know a lot of the resins, you know, are beneficial, but I've never experimented fully with a resin. I tried infusing a resin in an oil once, but I didn't feel like it really worked that well for me or something. But if you can melt the resin down and benefit from it, like I know frankincense is amazing for hair and skin, but I haven't worked with the resin of that directly. So experiment with that. But yeah, you could absolutely use it in a formula like this. It would work. It would hit that scalp and work its magic. Yes, Femi, this video will be in the bundle. So if you have the bundle, you know, you don't have to worry about it. The video will be in the bundle and the PDF will be in the bundle. I haven't uploaded those yet, and I probably won't do that until the weekend or next week, just because I have like a serious client load this week with one of my manufacturing clients. So I just need to stay on top of that mission as much as possible. Do you have a formula for hair mask? Oh wait, I think this is just repeating in a loop. Hi Kanisha. Femi L says it was very easy for me to navigate for me. Thank you so much. The screen is basically half showing. Ah, okay. I see. The left side of the document was blocked. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I'm glad that I toggled. All right. So let me do this, and then let me see if there's a way to do that. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the document, and you can and now you can see everything that I was doing. All right, hopefully. So I'm just going to go back and check. Just give me a yes. I can see it all now if you want. Do you have tools? What tools do I need to measure the products? Okay, I'll talk about that when I do the directions. Angela, please let me know if you can see the left side of the document now. And then, do I have a formula for hair detangler? I don't know what you mean by hair detangler. People have so many ideas about what a hair detangler is. You know, anything really can be a hair detangler. So if you can give me some examples, maybe that are on the market, so I know what kind of product that you're trying to recreate. But yeah, I think that just like a light conditioning lotion is probably what you have in mind, even though you could do a spray as well. All right, so I'm just going to stop with questions for a minute and go back. No, yes, I can see the whole screen. Thank you. Thank you, Claire. All right, so I will go ahead and start doing the ounces now. So like I like to do a test batch and a large batch. Okay, and so the test batch in ounces is 10 ounces. So the test batch is going to be 10 ounces, and oh, I see, that's why I did that. Okay. All right, so we'll just go like this then. So when you do, you'll see in a minute as I'm going through this. So this would be 6 ounces. The large batch is going to be 6 ounces. You never ever want to start with a large batch. You always want to do a test batch and tweak that formula and tweak that test batch until you've perfected the small batch, okay? And then after that, you can go ahead and do, so I'm just going to copy and paste these. So after you're happy with your test batch, then you go ahead and you make a large batch, or else you'll end up crying, because it's very difficult to tweak something, where you don't know what it is that you are looking at. Because once you do the, gosh, I'm trying to remember. I think that's right. Yeah, that is right. Okay. Because once you do the large batch, it's very difficult to troubleshoot that. Sometimes people will email me with a few tears and be like, I don't know how to fix this. It just, this, that, and it's just like, once you're in a big thing like that, it's just very difficult to fix, so you never want to experiment with a big batch. You always want to experiment with a small batch. Ask me how I know. We've all had to learn that the hard way. So just be careful with that. Don't be in a rush. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just building the formula out line by line. I think the only thing that I didn't calculate yet was how much hibiscus extract we're going to add. So let's see. Okay, so let's see how much hibiscus extract we're going to add. So 6, 7, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 31 at propane diol, 41, and that's 44. So I'm just going to go back up just to make sure that I've got everything correct. So 3, so that's 23, 26, 29, 32, 35, 37, 38, 44. So I think we said 44 both times. So that means 56 is left. So it will be 56% here, which is perfect because this is going to be the water portion. I want water to be the main thing in our conditioner. So this would be 5.6 ounces and 56 ounces here. And then this would be 1 ounce. Then I'll just copy it. All right. Okay, so we've done everything. Now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to color code this. Okay. So let's code this orange. Okay. Then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to, let me move this so we can oh, I see the mistake that I made now. I see the mistake that I made. That's okay. I'll fix it with the I'll fix it with the water portion. So this is what I did, is that I put Optifin Plus and I put Preservative, right? So we'll make this green. And so because I removed 1%, we're going to add it back here by just making that 57%, which then we can easily change here. Okay, so this is why I like to do the water last, because then that way I can add everything else up and then just estimate what the water is. If I just decided I was going to start with 60% water and then I have to calculate everything else, you know, trying to accommodate that water, that's just too confusing. And also, when you know what you want and you kind of know the proportions of things, you can use bulk batch calculator tools. Almost, I think most soap supply places will have a batch calculator tool. I want to say Wholesale Supplies has one. Someone has a batch calculator tool that can help you with percentages and so forth. If you know the percentage you want, then it'll calculate the ounces or the grams, whatever you want to do for you. All right, so let's look at the directions, and then that'll answer some of the questions that you guys had. And if it doesn't, I guess you can let me know. Okay, 1. The first thing you want to do is use a digital scale. You can use a kitchen scale, you can use a jeweler scale. The key is that it has to measure at least, you know, to the gram, preferably to a fraction of a gram, like maybe 0.5 of a gram or something. I try not to do those sort of micro measurements, just based on the kind of formulas that I create. I try to make it as easy as possible for beginners. You can make more complex formulas, and you will find more complex formulas if you're doing free stuff on the internet. But, you know, measuring those little micro drops and stuff can be kind of tricky. So a digital kitchen scale or a jeweler scale will work just fine. If you're doing ounces, you want it to measure at least 0.05 ounces. That's the smallest unit it needs to be able to register, okay? It doesn't have to be a fancy, expensive crafter's thing that costs $150 or $250. You really can start with like a $20 scale from Amazon. That's about how much I recommend, 20 US dollars. So I guess if you're doing pounds, it's even probably less than that. So you're gonna pre-weigh everything into little containers or bowls. You can also use small mason jars, whatever you want to use. You don't have to use beakers. You can use beakers if you want to. So you're going to pre-weigh everything into the little containers and bowls and separate or group them according to the color codes of. This just kind of helps you know what's coming, right? So you kind of know, okay, I've got my water ingredients over there, I've got my temperature sensitive ingredients over there, I've got my oil-based stuff over there. All right, so in a stainless steel pot, melt all the orange coated oily waxy ingredients on low heat until fully melted. Okay, you can also use a double boiler with like Pyrex, like a Pyrex double boiler setup or any double boiler setup. It's just that for the big batch, it's hard to find a double boiler that's going to be big enough for your big batch. But for your small batch, you can totally put like a Pyrex measuring jug in a pot of water and boil it then, and then in that case the pot won't matter. But if you're using a pot, you always want to use stainless steel because other metals will react. Then turn off the heat source. Okay. In a separate jar or container, let me see if I can move this. Oh, yes. Okay. In a separate jar or container, stir together all the blue ingredients. Okay. Add the blue ingredients to the melted warm orange ingredients in the pot or double boiler. Do it in this order and not the other way around. Very important. I know this is horrible grammar, but you know, I'm just trying to not make this last too long. But so you want to make sure that you pour your aqueous ingredients into your emulsifier and not pouring your emulsifier and oil into your watery ingredients. And the reason for this is that your emulsifier and everything else is melted right at the bottom of the pot, and the bottom of the pot is still really warm. And as you pour it out, depending on the size of the pot, like especially if you're doing a big batch, the top of the pot might not be that hot. And so as you're pouring it out, it could sort of start to cool on the way out and then start to re-solidify on the way out. Then what that means is that you might lose some of your emulsifier. You might lose some of your oil. So then now your recipe isn't accurate anymore. And even if you were able to scrape out every drop with a spatula, which you could attempt, you know, now you have the thing of like, okay, now some of the emulsifier has hardened. Is everything going to mix? You could end up with little chunks. So just be careful about that. And what I like as well about doing it in the pot is that now you don't have to heat anything else. You'll find that a lot of times the more chemical sort of cosmetic chemist type of things are really designed for things that aren't that natural. So why would you make this lovely cold infused Amla and hibiscus extract in water and aloe and then heat it up to the sky and keep it at that temperature for 7 minutes? Like, why would you do that? You know, so now you have the heat in the pot that can gently heat the rest of the things and make sure that everything is okay without having to overly destroy any nutrients. Okay, so that's why I say do it that way. Then you're gonna take your immersion blender. So that's going to be a stick blender, right? So the kind that looks like this. Let me just do a quick immersion blender. Okay, so this kind of thing. Let me go to images, maybe that'll make it bigger for you guys, okay? So these kind of blenders. Don't get the Vitamix 149 blender, please. Just get like a, you know, a $20 job off of Amazon or a $30 job. I think Amazon Basics has a really nice one. Procter Silex used to make some good ones, you know, but just a good sturdy one that has good reviews, especially if it's reviewed well by soapers, then you know that it can get the job done. All right, so take your immersion blender and blend the ingredients until creamy. To say blend the ingredients in the pot. In the pot until creamy. This part usually takes seconds. So like 15 seconds, it'll be nice and creamy. All right. And then after that, add your green ingredients, and enjoy. Now sometimes if the like cream you just made feels warm to the touch, not just warm, but it feels hot to the touch, I would hold on adding your essential oils. Just wait a little bit and then add this last. I mean, add it after it's cooled down a little bit until it's just like maybe just a little warm to the touch, just maybe slightly hotter than your hand. Okay, and then you can bottle this up and enjoy. All right, so that's pretty much how you would make that. So now I'm going to do the same formula in grams, and that'll be super quick. And also, before I do that, I am going to color code the directions, because that also helps you see what's coming down the pike. When you can look and see, okay, I'm in the orange step, okay, I'm in the blue step. Okay, so that's blue. And that's orange. And then we're going to make this, maybe we'll just bold it, and then we'll do green. Okay, and so before I go to the grams, I'll just go quickly and see if there's any, oh, there's quite a few questions. Okay, where do you get the ingredients from? I'll cover that after. Should the water also be warm as you add to the oil ingredients? No, I don't. I think I just covered that. I don't think that it has to be warm. Like if you're using just distilled water, then sure, warm it up if you want to. Or if you're using an extract that's coming straight from the fridge, then warm it up a little bit, or make sure it's at least at room temperature. But if you're using an extract, I don't believe in boiling it. You know, if you want to warm it a little bit, then warm it a little bit. You know, but I've never had a problem adding a room temperature extract, and sometimes even one that's been in the fridge, to be honest, to a hot pot in the method that I just described. Okay, because that's going to be in keeping with that artisanal integrity. Goodness, the comments are moving fast. That we talked about, of keeping things. Yeah, so let me go ahead and finish this formula. Am I still screen sharing? I think I am. Right. Let me just make sure that, yeah, it's bigger now. All right, so let me go ahead and repeat this for our friends using the metric system all over the world. All over the world. And let's go like this. And then I'll just go formula in grams. All right, so for grams, ordinarily, I like to do a test batch of 100 grams, and then maybe a large batch of 1,000 grams. But I think that for a conditioner, we do need quite a bit to test, and 100 grams is probably going to be, like for our US friends, like about 3 ounces, you know, and that's by weight, which means that it might actually be 2 ounces by volume, which is nothing for conditioner. So let's just go ahead and do a 200 gram batch. And so, so if it was 100, it would be 6 grams and 60 grams right here. So we're doubling it. So we're just going to be doubling the numbers, the percentages on the left. So here we would say 12 grams. Okay. And then here we would say 120 grams. Just going to add a gram. And maybe I'll do this because I think that that probably will help people if I say that this is 200 grams and this is 2,000 grams. Okay, so this is going to be 2 grams, and this is going to be 20 grams. This is going to be 4 grams, and this is going to be 40 grams. This is 6 grams, and this is going to be 60 grams. Whoops, that is not a 6. Right, and then let's go ahead and copy and paste this just to save us some time. We'll scroll down. All right, so we got that done, and so here would be 114 grams. So all I'm doing is timesing the percentage by 2. And then here I'm timesing the percentage by 20, which just really means adding a 0 to this. Okay, so this is 20 grams, and this is 200 grams. And this is copy and pasteable. And then one more time. So this is going to be 2 grams. And this will be 20 grams. And then we're just going to do it one more time. So this color coding also kind of replaces this idea of the phases, right? And don't be afraid to take your color-coded thing to a chemist. I have 2 clients I'm working with project managing for manufacturing right now, and 2 others that I've just helped to go to manufacturing, but they're project managing themselves. And when I've given these sort of formulas and templates to chemists, they're very happy with them. They know exactly what to do with them. They haven't complained at all. They were like, yep, your ingredient map, your directions were very clear. You know, so don't feel like you have to act like a chemist in order to speak to chemists. That's what their job is. Make your job easier for you. Okay, so, okay, we've done this. All right, so we've finished the formula. Now let's go back and answer some questions and get out of screen sharing mode. Stop sharing my screen. Okay, so I'm going to look at these questions. If you've already asked a question, don't feel like you need to put it in again. I'll see it, I promise you. Otherwise, I'll get more confused. Ooh, okay. Batch calculator. I can't tell if some of these questions are in a loop or people have just asked them several times, but Eden, do you have manufactured listings? I don't know what that means. Can you be more specific, like lists of people who will manufacture the product for you, like companies that will manufacture the product for you? If you're in the United States, I would advise that you go to the Make Your Mark page on Formulated Sample Shop, and they have a whole list of manufacturers and chemists. I've personally called and interviewed each and every one of them, and I think only one or two I ended up speaking to by email. But they're all legit. They're all really knowledgeable. They all have great customer service. So I would recommend any of those people. And that's who I work with. I also love Essential Wholesale. They have a really good vibe. They have great customer service, and they do a good job over there. If you're looking for bulk bases, I don't have a listing for bulk bases, but all you really would need to do is Google, and specifically these words: buy cosmetic bulk bases USA, or buy cosmetic bulk bases UK, or buy, any of those things will work. The next thing I would say for all my international friends is there's a magazine called Happy Magazine, HAPPI. It's not a Y, HAPPI. And they have a directory of manufacturers. And sorry, I'm looking at the chat, which is why I'm not looking at the camera. But they have a directory of manufacturers and this and blah, everything you can imagine for cosmetic chemistry. They have a directory for that. That directory is a monster. If you're gonna go look at it, you better pack a lunch. But they have listings in every country, well, almost every country, and that's a good place to look to for manufacturers and stuff like that. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, I don't really want to sell people things that they can Google. It seems strange to me. So I just tell people how to Google it. And then I give very specific shares to my clients in terms of, what base I recommend for which application. Is Allentown an effective hair softener? I've seen it used in face products, and I know it softens keratin in the skin. I read a blog that recommends it, but when I use it on my face, it dries out my skin. Yeah, I have kind of, sometimes some people can be sort of allergic to Allentown. So I think that it's like anything, I'm allergic to citrus oils on my face. Other people find them incredibly helpful for brightening the skin and doing all kinds of things. And probably 80% of people aren't allergic to them, maybe even 90, right? So, it just depends on you. I would just try it. But if it's drying out your skin and you put it in a hair product, when you wash your hair, even if it's a leave-in, right, and you're not washing, it's when you wash your hair, that Allentown is going to drip down your face and all of this stuff. So now you're going to end up with dry skin and dry hair. So I don't know why you would want to use that, if you're already having a reaction to it. Does it soften hair? I don't know. I would try it. I like to try things in a spray bottle. Just put it, dissolve it at the percentage they recommend in a spray bottle, and just try putting it in your hair as is, just so you can start to understand what the product feels like. Or you can make a dilution of it and add it to a conditioner you're already using and see if your conditioner feels different from having had it. So that's how I like to experiment sometimes with individual ingredients, depending on what it is and if that's possible. All right, Sammy Dans. Hey, Sammy, do I have a formula for baby care? Most of my formulas are baby friendly. However, I would say that the difference is in the extracts and the essential oils that you use. So many of my templates and formulas, or even the ones that are out there for free on the internet, it's just a matter of switching out the extracts, right? So for a baby, I would use calendula. I think Amla and Hibiscus is very baby friendly. You can definitely use those extracts on a baby. And maybe don't use things like mint oil, or rosemary on a child under the age of 3, right? I would go more with lavender and chamomile for a baby, or neroli works as well, though neroli is expensive, or you can do a natural sort of orange blossom or coconut extract. And I share with you some sites that have stuff like that on my YouTube masterclass on natural fragrancing. It's free class that's on YouTube. But yeah, like almost anything can be made for babies. You know, Benzoin methosulfate is the best conditioning agent for babies. So you'll find that as the conditioning emulsifier in most baby hair conditioners, seeing as we're speaking about conditioners today. Okay, so that question I've seen before and answered. I think that this restream is just showing me the same things again and again. I don't know why it does that. So also, I wanted to ask about pH modifications. I'm making sure that the conditioners I make are lower in pH than the shampoos I make. I have citric acid to lower pH, but not something like a lye solution. You could use a lye solution if you wanted to. I prefer not to. I'm just like, ugh, you know, this scares me. So you could do something like, you could do baking soda and you could make a dilute solution of baking soda, okay? And then use that drop by drop to increase your pH if you need to, and then the citric acid to lower pH if you need to, and that's fine. You know, then use pH papers or a pH meter to test it. Okay. All right. Where do you get ingredients from? That's a good question. All right, so here are some of my sources. Making Cosmetics is a great source of all the ingredients that I mentioned. Ingredients to die for. Now, the 1,3-propane diol, you always want to search by the INCI name. And I have a free YouTube video called How to Find Ingredients in Any Country or something like that. Or if you just Google QOT, not Google, but if you go in my channel and in the search you put in QOTD, that stands for Question of the Day. You know, if you do that, all the videos on Question of the Day will come up. And one of them is sourcing suppliers from different countries or sourcing, you know, things from different countries. But basically it walks you through how to find anything anywhere. But of the things that I mentioned, I would say, you know, Making Cosmetics, Ingredients to Die For. Ingredients to Die For tends to rename stuff. So for example, their 1,3-propane diol is not going to be 1,3-propane diol. They call it Nature Silk, right? So just kind of be aware of things like that. So always search by the INCI name, which is what I put in the formula that we just created, right? And which is its scientific name. So when you're reading the product description for the ingredient, they'll have their little name for it. For example, Making Cosmetics calls Btms 25. They call it Cream Maker Cat. So, you know, you'll think, oh, Cream Maker Cat can only be bought from Making Cosmetics. No, it can be bought from multiple places. If you search for it by its actual chemical name, which is, you know, you could say Benzoin methosulfate with cetyl alcohol, but Btms 25 works just as well. So just know how to search for things. So Making Cosmetics, Ingredients to Die For, Essential Wholesale has ingredients, Formulated Sample Shop has ingredients. They used to only have, you know, like botanical extracts mostly, but now they have a lot of chemical ingredients, green eco ones as well as some of the more chemical ones. New Directions Aromatics is great for natural ingredients like oils and butters and stuff. And sometimes they'll have some powders that are pretty great, and a few other things. Essential oils, From Nature with Love. New Directions Aromatics is in the States. It's in Canada. Well, the United States store is going to ship from Canada. So Canada and US is going to be one, but it's Canadian. and they also have an Australian branch. I don't know if they're in the UK or not. From Nature with Love is in the USA. They have natural products. Don't be afraid to look for things in bulk on Amazon. eBay, I kind of do eBay if it's a person who provides a lot of information, you know, whereas Amazon, people have reviews and you're kind of required to put in a little bit more information. I know that in terms of the UK, the only place I can think of for cosmetic chemicals is Grace Fruit. Grace Fruit is a place, but I can't remember any of the other names, but you'll just have to use the free YouTube video for those. In South Africa, Fun with Soap. Fun with Soap is a great place to look for stuff. And also searching by the INCI name, I found a few places in South Africa as well. There's tons of places in South Africa for carrier oils and all the other things as well. I think I've got all the questions because now I'm just seeing looped questions of all the questions I already answered. I answered the should the water also be warm? What's the best place to purchase all of these ingredients in one place? Yeah, there's no one place, hun. It's not a good idea to purchase things in one place. You just have to price shop. And I like to create a spreadsheet. And I show you how to do that in the pricing course in the ingredient bundle. But just kind of do some research and just kind of in an Excel spreadsheet, you're going to open it up and you're going to place vendors, you know, in various spots. And then you're going to start writing down all your ingredients that you need and then just sort of grouping them according to vendors. So I know that I get most of my herbs from a place like Mountain Rose Herbs. I get most of my oils from a place like New Directions Aromatics, or Jedwards, which is bulk natural oils, you know, or whatever. I get, you know, propane diol. There, even though making cosmetics has propane diol, it's a fraction of the cost if I buy it from, if I buy it from Ingredients to Die For. It's a little bit cheaper, it's a little bit more expensive at Formulated Sample Shop, but it's still much better priced than, you know, making cosmetics. So if I know that, you know, Formulated Sample Shop is having a Cyber Monday sale, which I think they had until, I think it's extending until today, guys. I think the code is extended, all caps. If I'm getting something from Formulated Sample Shop, right, and I only need one thing from Ingredients to Die For, then it makes sense for me to just get everything from Formulated Sample Shop that day, because I'm going to get the 20% off and I'm not going to have to pay the extra shipping. So there is no one supplier who supplies everything unless you make really, really simple products. Then maybe you can find a place, in which case any one of the places I suggested might actually be able to provide you everything, but you just are going to want to be careful about whether your pricing is competitive because you were so busy wanting to get everything from one place. Now, if you're importing, let's just say if you were importing everything from overseas, right? You live in a country where you have to import everything, then the getting everything from one place starts to make sense, simply because shipping is a beast. So you want to minimize your shipping in that case. So just do some research through all the sites I mentioned and see which one is going to have the most stuff that you want if you're importing things, and then get as much stuff from there as you can so you don't have to pay like a zillion fees and shipping. Okay. Yes, a lot of places have organic, HPS. A lot of places have organic options. Most of the places that I mentioned have organic options. Not as much for the chemical things, right? But they have things, even some of the chemical ingredients are going to be eco-cert, right? Which means suitable for organic ingredients. Solution. Do you recommend product manufacturers in the USA or other countries? Okay, so I had someone ask in the Facebook group the other day, and I saw the question and I decided to give it some room to breathe. You can get, I wouldn't, if you live in the USA, just do everything in the USA. There are some things you'll be able to get cheaper from other places, you know, like maybe some packaging, or maybe, you know, certain things you'll be able to get. You know, if you want to import marula oil in bulk and you have a direct connection in Zimbabwe or Zambia, then go for it. That makes sense. But certain other things like, you know, cosmetic ingredients or surfactants, I don't recommend importing from certain countries. There are certain countries, I'm just going to say it, I wouldn't buy stuff from China, personally. I just wouldn't. This is the same, you know, setup that put melamine in baby food. So I'd rather use US distributors, because even though they're getting stuff from China, their reputation in the US is on the line, and they're going to be more regulated. So you know that they've done the filtering through to make sure that their stuff is legit. So until I'm in a position to actually travel to China myself directly and actually form a direct relationship with vendors, there's no way that I would put the community that I'm part of beauty product makers, you know, on YouTube, on Facebook, or any of my clients or students at risk by just suggesting something that's cheap that I haven't myself tried. I only suggest things that I've tried. I'm not suggesting things that I read in a book, right? So sort of be careful with that. Some things are fine, okay, to import. Shea butter, import it from overseas. You'll, as soon as it comes, you'll see whether the quality is good or not. But if it's something else, like, I don't know, you know, melamine was in baby formula. You know, who would put melamine in a baby formula? But it happened, and it was documented all over the news in this country, I think a decade or more ago. So just be careful with that China stuff. Hopefully I haven't offended anyone who's here, but, you know, I'm just trying to keep it 100. Am I Xing by 10 or by 20? I think you're looking at the formula in grams, and I was Xing by 20 because usually the formula would be, say, 100 grams. But 100 grams of conditioner is a very small amount. It's like 2 to 3 ounces. That is nothing. Like, that would do, I could use that. Yeah, that's not enough to test. I wanted you guys to have a full-size conditioner to test, and 200 grams is gonna probably be closer to 180 mLs, you know, maybe even 160, I don't know. But it's gonna be enough for you to be able to test the product and maybe share it with other people if you need to. So that's why I times it by 20, but ordinarily I times by 10, okay? So that's what I was doing. The color coding makes it so easy. Yay, I'm glad you think so. I think so too. I formulated, because I was a baby and I was like, I don't know how to do this stuff. And so I teach that way. I teach to other people who are starting off from scratch and be like, how can I make this as easy as possible for myself? Because once you start looking at phase 1, phase 2, and this and that, it kind of takes you out of the game sometimes. I'll have to message Restream and tell them that their chat is really bizarre, because I see new questions and then I keep scrolling down and it's just looping me through questions that have already been asked. But these were all really great questions. Hopefully everyone found value from the answers, even if it wasn't your question, because maybe it was a question you didn't know you had. All right, it looks like everyone's questions are answered. Tony says, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. You're welcome. I'm glad it was helpful. Hey, Carlisha. Hey, Dimple. So Crystal Davis is saying no China at all. I'm going to get in so much trouble. Yeah, I prefer for packaging and for some things, but not necessarily for ingredients. Definitely not manufactured products that came from there. I think India is okay. India has a lot of great vendors. Now, I haven't interacted at that level myself, but hey, you know, if you feel like you can make those contacts and you can make those connections, then go for it. Where do you buy shea butter in Africa? Well, you would have to connect with West African vendors to figure that out. One thing I advise people to do is whatever country they're in, if they want to import shea butter directly from Africa, which would be a great business for reselling, just reselling shea butter on eBay and Amazon. That's a great business. Or even on Facebook or WhatsApp or LinkedIn or wherever you are. Go to the embassies of certain countries. Go to the Ghanaian embassy, the Nigerian embassy, I don't know, Togo, Benin, Cameroon, any place where shea butter is, shea trees grow and shea butter is made and sold. If you go to any of those embassies and you ask to speak to the trade trade attaché, a lot of times they will give you a direct link to someone who sells shea butter, you know. So there's that. Claire is asking if you can get Formulated sample shop products on Amazon. I haven't seen them on Amazon. You might be able to get some of the things, like I've seen sea kelp bioferment on Amazon, but this was a long time ago, right? And but it was someone who was reselling it, and it was a little bit pricey. I think it's worth it to just go directly to Formulated Sample Shop. Formulated Sample Shop has an EU shop as well, by the way, guys. For those of you in Europe, they have it used to be based in the UK, but now I think it's either in Germany or France. I don't know. I think Brexit happened and they just said peace out. But they have a EU shop. They have an EU shop, so you can totally do the EU shop if you want. Now the thing is, what ingredient increases rinse off ability in your formula? I'm not really sure I understand that question. I would say the water from the shower increases rinse off ability. Yeah, I mean, what do you mean by rinse off ability? Are you saying what ingredient decreases the stickiness of the product, or what ingredient increases the slip, or how does the hair feel afterwards? Like, I don't understand what you mean by rinse off ability. So if you could be so kind as to specify more clearly, I'll go ahead and answer that. Then I have to run so that I can get these kids logged into their online school on time. I know, Claire, I don't know why they don't go to Canada. What I might do is, Claire, is I would email Formulated Sample Shop. Just go to their website and look for contact info and email them and say, do you have a partner in Canada that you recommend? They usually have great customer service and they would answer that. Patricia, I need to make sure, the chat just moved really fast. Patricia gave me a follow-up, but now I can't find it. Oh, I need to make sure that whatever I make doesn't clog in my hair or clog my drains. ask me how I know. Oh, wow. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that. I've never had that question before, or that phenomenon. Do you have locks or dreads? When you say clog in your hair, you know, there's nothing in the formula that I shared that's overly build-up-y except for polyquaternium. So I would substitute behentrimonium chloride, which is sold at Making Cosmetics under the name behentrimonium. That does not build up in the hair, and it really softens the hair and has a lot of slip. I just excluded it from the formula because it's harder to find other places. But in the States, you can find it at Making Cosmetics under the name behentrimonium. All right, so now my voice is gone and I have to get my kids ready for school. So I'm going to love you and leave you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around. Bye.